page references can be used to filter information in your Roam graph. And actually, a lot of times that I use page names, especially in tag format, it's to prepare the ability of filters to either include or exclude that information. So, I could have a coaching session with a client and I'll actually tag it with the coaching page. That way, when I'm on that client's page and I only want to see what we talked about in previous coachings, I can filter by coaching and I can see what happened every time we had a coaching session. It makes it very nice and useful. And actually, if I want to see everything that happened outside of a coaching session, I can exclude coaching, and now I'll be able to see everything that happens outside that session. So you can include or exclude references. And you can also, which I'll show you in a moment, you can search through possible filters, meaning page references that are in relationship with the page you're on. You can search through those filters just by typing, and it will narrow them down. So before we move to the Joe Smith page to talk about filters a little bit, I wanted to show you how this references kind of play into the indenting I talked about. So tying together a little bit of the material we've talked about so far. Notice that I've said here that I had a conversation with Joe Smith today. And notice that we talked about three things: the Henderson Project, the Jones Project, and then we planned a bit of the Peterson Project. All of this, incidentally, made up and has no real sense to it, so don't be looking for a deeper meaning here. Those are all sibling blocks to each other, and they're all children to the original Joe Smith block. What that means is Henderson Project, Jones Project, and Peterson Project won't be able to see each other when we go look at the linked references and start about filtering, but they can all see the Joe Smith block because they're in a parent-child relationship to that. And just philosophically speaking, notice it makes sense to three separate topics that are all different. They should all be siblings themselves to each other, but they are all part of the conversation with Joe Smith. So you can see that there. And then with each of those, we went in another level and talked about some other things. One, we talked about development. We talked about a leaky faucet. Again, I don't know what kind of industry we're in here. And then we actually talked about going into development by a specific date. And using that one twice is going to let me show you some stuff here on the filtering page. So if I click on the Joe Smith page, we're going to see, all the references are on October 5th, so they're separate references here. But here's Joe Smith in his one reference. Let's say that all I want to do is see where we talked about the Henderson Project. I can go here to this filter, and notice, by the way, there are two filters on the page. There's one at the very top. This allows you to filter content on the page, so things that are on blocks here. Right now there's nothing there, and so I'm not going to show you that, but it works exactly the same way as the linked references. It just only does content on the page, whereas this one here at the linked references only does the content within linked references. So just note that that is there. I'm clicking the one that's here at linked references, and you'll notice already I'm populated with every reference that is associated with Joe Smith in some way, either as a child or a grandchild or what have you. So I can then say, well, I only want to see stuff we're talking about the Henderson Project. If they're, now I can see it, I could just click it. But assuming there were a lot of references, and once you use Roam for a while, there will be, you can just start typing Henderson Project. Once you get, I think even honestly, the E got me there, but it's already narrowed it down to Henderson Project. I will click this, and that will add it. That will filter. So now the only thing you can see is what we talked about, the Henderson Project. It keeps Joe Smith because that's our what page we're on. And it keeps everything that's a child of Henderson. But remember when I talked about sibling relationships? You cannot see what's going on with the other projects from this filter because they are siblings to the Henderson Project. To unfilter something, just click on it again, and you can see we now have access to everything. Let's imagine that I wanted to see everything but our conversation about the Henderson Project. I'll start typing Henderson again. There it is. To remove something, you shift-click it. And now you can see every conversation except the Henderson Project is available down here. Okay? One last little note. Let's imagine that I wanted to look at everything that was talked about where we talked about development. So we're talking about things going into development. The only one we didn't was the one where we talked about a leaky faucet. So both of those where we talked about development will show up here. Now, this is a slight oversimplification because I likely, if I were actually having regular conversations with Joe Smith, that information would show up in a lot of different places. Certainly for me, the way I take Rome notes, mostly in daily notes pages, but you'd be able to see, several conversations, or if I have a coaching client, many coaching sessions. These filters work across all of that. So it's not, while this one is only on the October 5th page and you're only seeing it filter in one place, it would filter through every single one of our conversations. I'd see every time we talked about a project in development, or every time we talked about anything but the Henderson project, or whatever your filters are. So that's how those filters can amp up the power of these linked references. If I need to see anything specific, I can just filter by it, and it will get me to exactly the information that I need. So that's the fundamental concepts with filters. They allow you to move through linked references in a way that relies on the relationships that you've set up between that link, the page you're on, and other references that are related to it. So, those parent-child relationships we talked about indenting. And by then either including or excluding particular references, you can filter to exactly the information that you need to find. If this video helped you, click subscribe. And check out my Rome courses as well. I have the Roaman Way, which is a free course to help you learn the fundamentals of Rome research. I have AP Productivity, which is my flagship Rome course. It is an 8-week live cohort course to help you get important work done in Rome research. I have Powerful Task Management in Rome research, which helps you build a GTD-style setup for task management in Rome. And I have Your Road to Rome, which I'm actually updating in November or December of 2021. And it is a deeper dive than the free course, The Roaman Way. It has live masterclasses, Q&A sessions, additional instruction about Rome extensions, especially Smart Blocks and Rome 42, which you can get from romejs.com. And there's a community forum for discussion of new Rome features or help with your workflows. Rome research is an amazing tool, and I want to help you make the most of it in your life and work.